Congratulations, Vicki.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Moving forward. We have old business. We have a tabled ordinance 2018-6A, which I believe we can untable.
Or is it yes?
I'm sorry. Did you say something, Joe?
Laurie.
No, we passed it.
already found it.
No, we did 64 and 65 vote.
Oh, you did both of them together?
Yes, sir.
You did them separate. I completely what happened to each.
That's okay. Okay, so we're going to move forward. 2018-6A, an ordinance of the Town of Phillipsburg, County of Warren, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 67, Vehicles and Traffic, Section 28, Parking Lots of the Code of the Town of Phillipsburg.
Do you need a motion on table?
I do.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Discussion. There being none, roll call vote, Vicki.
Councilman Lutz,
Yes.
Councilman McVeigh,
Yes.
We're on table.
I give a yes.
Councilman Davis,
Yes.
Council Vice President DeGirolamo,
Yes.
Council President Fulker.
Yes. Now we need to vote on the ordinance of the Town of Phillipsburg, County of Warren, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 67, Vehicles and Traffic, Section 28, Parking Lots of the Code of the Town of Phillipsburg.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call vote, Vicki.
Councilman Lutz,
No.
Councilman McVeigh,
No.
Councilman Davis,
No.
Council Vice President DeGirolamo,
No.
Council President Fulker.
No. Ordinance number 2018-05, which was the first reading for February 2018, tabled February 2018, amended at work session March 13, 2018. It's an ordinance of the Town of Phillipsburg, County of Warren, State of New Jersey, deleting Chapter 464 rental property in its entirety and replacing it with a new Chapter 464 rental property.
So moved.
Second. Are we on tabling?
On the table.
Discussion.
Now, is this the second reading then?
No.
It's first reading, Joe.
This is what you're voting on right now. Is this
Yeah.
Just table. Did we get a second?
We do have a second. There being no discussion, roll call vote, Vicki.
Councilman Lutz,
Yes.
Councilman McVeigh,
Yes.
Councilman Davis,
Yes.
Council Vice President DeGirolamo,
Yes.
Council President Fulker.
Yes. Okay, an ordinance of the Town of Phillipsburg, County of Warren, State of New Jersey, deleting Chapter 464 rental property in its entirety and replacing it with a new Chapter 464 rental property for first reading. Need a motion.
So moved.
Discussion?
Second.
Yeah, my discussion is, I did take a look at that, the unpublished appellate court decision regarding the differentiation of the registration fee versus the licensing fee. And I understand the difference that's been drawn with this ordinance. However, I think we might want to, because that one is still somewhat untested legally, because that decision was unpublished, we might want to go even a step further and remove the registration fees entirely and charge an inspection fee as opposed to having a registration fee, so that the regulatory activity is linked to the actual action being done.
So, Councilman, actually, I don't think that's a bad idea. How would you, can you explain to me the process? So we would just charge them as where they are inspected?
That would be, unless there's a legal binding that I'm not aware of, I think that would probably be the best way to tie the regulatory action to the cost, as well as I think it has an increased cost to those who aren't acting in accordance with what we think is good behavior, because if there is good reason for further inspections, they're charged for additional rental inspections. So I think that would add to our final goal.
Council President?
Yes, sir.
That's what the state does too. They charge each apartment instead of having a registration fee, they charge each apartment.
I'm in full agreement. I think it's a great idea.
All right, so there would be amending the ordinance to remove the registration fee requirement. Leave it with inspections then, that's correct.
Do we need to establish by ordinance a fee for inspection, Counselor?
We should already have inspection fees codified,
Okay.
but to the extent that we don't, we would need to do that.
They aren't in the public record.
Just say, then, yeah, my recommendation would be then to remove the registration fee, and then as a further action item, we can move to codify the fee for that if it's not already established somewhere in the town codes. I move for that.
I'll second. Hey, roll call vote.
Councilman Lutz?
Yes.
Councilman McVeigh?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Council Vice President DeGirolamo?
Yes.
Council President Holper?
Yes. So roll call as amended, Vicky.
Councilman Lutz?
Yes.
Councilman McVeigh?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Council Vice President DeGirolamo?
Yes.
Council President Holper?
Yes. Okay, Resolution 2018-53, which is tabled on March 6, 2018. A resolution to provide for an application for limousine operator's license for Halim Abori.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call vote, Vicky.
Councilman Lutz?
Yes.
Councilman McVeigh?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Council Vice President DeGirolamo?
Yes.
Council President Holper?
Yes. Now we need to vote on Resolution 2018-53. Resolution to provide an application for limousine operating license, Halim Abori.
So moved.
Second.
Question.
Yes, sir.
I still haven't seen any up-to-date application for this person.
Oh, it's in here.
Yeah, we got it.
It is in here, Councilman. Everything looked
It was up to some-
everything looked okay.
Mine's going crazy.
Yeah, there's 3 in there, so it's difficult.
I know.
Right.
It was terrible. Here it is. Properly notarized, the insurance date is here. It's not filled out right, but it's here and accurate. It's not where you're at.
Is he allowed to work out of Ravencroft?
Yes, there was a letter from Ravencroft.
Yeah, from Village Arms, there was a letter. So they are aware that he's there. I mean, I'm not sure if it's a zoning or planning issue. The area itself is residential, yes?
Different than,
I guess I would ask Stan, I would defer to you, Stan. The Village Arms Apartments on Marshall Street, we have a gentleman requesting a taxi license. So can he work out of that area?
I do not want to speak for the zoning officer, but I suggest the zoning officer takes care of the application.
We have a zoning officer.
Kevin Betty, yes.
He told us he wasn't the zoning officer.
He has been appointed the zoning officer, council president for 6 months, and while he trains a new zoning officer. That's in writing.
No, I understand, Mayor. I was just stating what Kevin was said a few weeks ago. So, okay.
Back to Kevin.
We'll defer that back to Kevin. I believe that we'll have to table that.
Frankly, I don't have a zoning book memorized, so.
No, I understand. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to postpone until the next regular scheduled meeting.
Second. Discussion. Roll call vote, Vicky.
Councilman Lutz?
Yes.
Councilman McVeigh?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Council Vice President DeGirolamo?
yes.
Council President Holper?
Yes. Okay. Jeez, look at that. We are moving right along. It's going pretty quick. We are at the mayor and administrative reports. Mayor, do you have a report to give to us this
Just a
evening?
couple items.
Yes, sir.
On 3/14, I attended the League of Municipalities Annual Mayor's Meeting in Trenton. Sheila Oliver, the Lieutenant Governor, was the keynote speaker. A couple pieces of important information is that there will be incentives for regionally created shared services through police, BAs, tax assessors, and number two, she is going to kickstart the urban enterprise zone. And I just got an invitation today from the mayor of Plainfield to attend that, so there are two good things for Phillipsburg. I also followed up with Mr. Mark Bellin's request for that diversion through Delaware Heights Park. I went over to Green Acres, I met with them. Their response was, you have a diversion, you want another diversion, but they will render a decision in writing from Mr. Bellin. However, I got a call from his boss today. Mr. Bellin has been relieved of his duties. So I will give it to his boss, just to close the loop. On 3/15, I attended Mayor Panto's State of the City address, and I think I shared with you all, I'll share it again, that Mayor Panto included Phillipsburg multiple times as part of an eco-tourism partnership, connecting that bridge from Easton to Phillipsburg, which is a good thing. Last thing is, we declared a snow emergency today, which starts at 6 a.m. tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I believe, I see that the tax collector report is on here. I believe we were sent that with the email.
Yeah, that was on the back page of the agenda. Yeah.
Did you want to read that? No? Okay. Do you want to read your clerk report? Then I'm going to go ahead and defer to Stan. Stan, I'd like to hear what the engineer has to say.
Thank you for the opportunity, Council President.
Thank you for being here.
I'd just like to bring the council up to date on projects that we are working on and proceed with. Heckman Phase 1 and 2, which we have DOT funding for. Those plans are in my office at 95% complete. At this point, we're sending to DOT for final review before we go to bid. I expect to be able to go to bid sometime in April and proceed with an early spring project. Tonight, you approved a resolution to support our application from 3 weeks ago that we made to DOT for discretionary aid funding for Heckman Street Phase 4. This is very important as we receive funding for Heckman Street Phase 3. So you know, Heckman Street Phase 1 is from Chambers to Wilson. Phase 2 is from Wilson to Lincoln. That's a project we'll have out to bid now. Phase 3, which we were successful for, was Lincoln to the DPW, or the Armory building. We submitted as our second priority this year Phase 4, but nobody gets 2 the same year, but gets you in line for priority. The following year, of understanding that funding is in place for DOT, we submitted for Phase 4 and the discretionary aid. This will give us a project with good economy of scale where we can do those together. So discretionary aid requires letters of support. We had a very good letter of support from the Housing Authority, from Mayor Rummerfield, the police chief. The mayor made contacts down to DOT, so I'm fairly confident that we'll be looked at that with good favor. Talked to Bob Merlot, there would be funding available, so if that comes through, we'll be at a good point where we could go to bid on Phase 3 and 4. Might be a different contractor, might be the same one, depending on how the bids are. So looking forward to a favorable response on that. Downtown crosswalk replacement, which is Councilman Lutt's favorite project. I did tell him tonight that the contractor is expected to get back to work down there the 3rd week in April. That corresponds with the train activity down there. It should all be over by then. We're working with the police now to try to find the best way to do that, minimize traffic control, possibly weekend work to accomplish that. Councilman Lutz says seeing is believing, so hopefully we can follow through on that April 3rd date. We're rejecting bids for ADA ramps projects. We have a grant from DCA under small cities. This is a HUD-funded project, and it's extremely stringent requirements for the contractor. Our estimate for the project was $280,000. However, to qualify the contractors, they effectively have to be a DBE, a disadvantaged business entity. And there's very stringent reporting qualifications for that. The smaller contractors that are interested in a job that size apparently don't have the methods of following up with that. So we only had one bidder, and the bidder was nearly double what our estimate was, so we're looking to recheck that. And I frankly like to go back and consider whether we want to continue under DCA for a project that size. The plans are complete. It'd be very easy for us to just go back to local aid and get an unrestricted project, and I think we could get better, probably get more sidewalk for the dollars that are out there. So we'll be looking at that and talking with DCA. The Armory project, the redesign is proceeding very well. We don't have comments back from Department of Corrections. I'm expecting those shortly. I'm proceeding though with no comments are probably good comments. So we're maintaining the schedule. The mechanical, electrical, and plumbing contractor has the plans now, so we're expecting progress. I'd like to come back to the council in a short future and show them that. I would have to be in closed session just to do security discussions with the police station. So that's moving along very well. Good conversations back and forth with the police staff. They've been extremely helpful with their needs. We also working a new site plan for that building. The municipal building, we're working on 2 preliminary designs, one to relocate the municipal building, one to refurbish Corliss. Our team met with the mayor a few weeks ago, and the mayor, I think he's proper at that, asked for input from department heads. So we created a form to pass around, discussion, and they came back with their needs. But what we found, storage of records and other things is prevalent throughout the existing municipal building. The department head should go back and take a good look as to what is actually required, what can be disposed of, and more importantly, what can be stored electronically to save space. Because it doesn't make sense going forward that we're going to build square footage and maintain and perpetuate for a long time for something that we don't need. So I think the mayor's working on that now. That puts me behind about 2 weeks as to when I can come back to council, but I will ask to come back at either a special meeting or a workshop to review those options. So I feel we're proceeding very well. We have a very good team working on that. IR project with a new developer, Bridge Development. We had a meeting with their entire design team, and there's several engineering firms involved in this. It was Chester Partnership, which did the preliminary plans that went before the planning board. There's McDonough Ray, which is a traffic engineer. There's Melvin Tully, their geotechnical engineer. There's an environmental engineering firm. There's a firm that's designing the detention basin, which is in effect a Class 5 dam due to the size of the basin. All that's moving through other regulatory agencies. It was a very, very productive meeting. I have compliance plans back now from our planning board review back in June that we're working through. Had contact today with another attorney that's working for the project, and that's going to be moving forward. We questioned him on the soil import. Remember all the discussions we had over a year ago about the use of alternative fill. They have approval now for 530,000 cubic yards of alternative fill to come into that site. In the council meetings, we were talking of hundreds of trucks per day hauling material in. We never got that far. We had days we had maybe 4 trucks. We sat there all day. I had my inspector on site, and they had the waste station open. None of that happened, but it's actually a good thing too, because the LSRP received donor sites to look at over 300 donor sites and approved 27 based on the material. The new developer will be taking a different approach. He has other sites he'll be looking at. Plus, they'll be starting the low-pack piece at the same time. They're starting ours, so they'll be able to do a balance of the fill, be able to bring some fill over from low-pack. There'll be fill taking out where the detention basin is going to be, and that's going to balance out. So that's going to ramp up shortly, and I'll keep the council informed on that. But the progress is very good. The team that's involved is the right people to do the job. The experience is very evident. The meeting last week was attended by the mayor and also by Rich, so very, very happy with that. Thursday night, planning board, Angela Knowles, our town planner, will be discussing downtown redevelopment. A year ago, we had a design charrette downtown. What a design charrette is, we open up to the public. Anybody can come in and show us what your ideas are for the downtown. And there are ideas flowing all over. People are making sketches and things, but Angela has a good network of other planners. And these guys like to get together on Saturdays and design things. So they came in with these opportunities and they came together and really put something together that I thought was very attractive to the downtown. As an engineer, I'm a licensed planner, but I'm more of an engineer. I look at planning documents and spiral thing you put in the bookshelf and whatever goes forward. But they maintain good continuity of what's required under the redevelopers agreement, what's environmental constraints we have, what the flood requirements are down there, and came together with a very good idea. So we'll be presenting this to the council, or rather to the planning board on Thursday night. And that ties in with, Mayor, I'm going to mention that OZ now, under the new tax plan, the federal tax plan, they gave an opportunity for municipalities based on economic demographics and opportunities for growth, for new development. In fact, it creates a federal pilot where any capital gains tax is essentially forgiven if a developer stays within 10 years. So it just opens up possibilities of bringing developers in. So if we can get a good redevelopment plan for the downtown we will agree on, do the necessary needs analysis, and Rich would advise on that, we could proceed with an RFP and probably attract a developer. And this just links in with everything that Easton's done, and it's pretty exciting what we could possibly do. So we'll be discussing that on Thursday night. And I can't read the rest of my writing, so that's it.
Sam, what about these speed bumps that you can?
Oh, that's it. That's what I can't read.
Oh, there.
That's what I was going to ask.
The speed is what bothers
I
me.
wrote it in red. That's my road study. That's the road assessment. The study itself is completed. The speed bumps, the traffic calming is taking a little more work. And we're working with the police department because what we have to do is do a speed study. Because you can put traffic calming in where you have a certain percentile over what your speed limit is. They have speed counters they're putting out. They were reluctant to put it out during the winter period. If we have snow, it has to move. If there's a snow emergency, it has to move. So I think once we get past this next storm, we're going to gear up and get that speed study done, and we can do a report on that. I did attend a seminar down at Rutgers on traffic calming, and that was one of the things they brought up. You have to have that speed study to really support anything. So that's moving forward. But the road assessments, we'll show that to the council where we actually rated the roads by the type of pavement, the distress, what the utility requirements are, et cetera. We put together really, really competent plan.
Thank you.
Thank you for reminding me.
Thank you, Sam.
Thanks.
Yeah, that was the same question. I'm okay.
Yeah, sorry.
No, don't be sorry. Okay, public petitions, this is where the time the public gets to come up and speak to us. So feel free to take the podium. Your name and address for the record.
I'm Joe Miner. I live at 392 South Main Street in Phillipsburg. The next meeting of the present committee will be at 394 South Main Street on Sunday, March 25th, from 1:45 to 3 p.m. Once again, 394 South Main Street on Sunday, March 25th, from 1:45 p.m. to 3 p.m. One will attract desirable homeowners. That's what we're working on. It's open to the public. If you attend, you are a member. The agenda will be homesteading, roommating, and rent control. If you have a plan, please bring it in writing. And, get in, that's it.
Oh, right now.
Thank you, Joe.
Sure?
Anybody, public participants? Mr. Bullock,
So are you sure?
state your name and address for the record.
Oh,
Yeah, my name is Ed Bullock. I live at 344 Warren Street. And I have a question about the Ray Craft license. Do they have a history of violations there? Does anybody know? Have there been public complaints about their business being there? Does anybody know if they're polluting there or doing anything illegal there?
Mr. Bullock, to be quite honest with you, well, the mayor states that he can answer it, but I'm going to go ahead first.
Okay, sure.
Okay. I don't believe, I spoke with Mr. Kraft. I know that I guess there was some contamination from the former owner, but I don't believe that it carried over into Mr. Kraft's tenure, but I haven't heard any complaints.
Okay, and the reason I'm asking this is my family was in the business 70 years. My dad sold thousands of tons of cast iron steel to Shamoon Industries, which is now McQueen. He sold, my grandfather was a partner at Eastern Iron and Metal. I grew up in this environment, and I grew up hearing where people like Mr. Lutz said, and I take exception to that, okay, because I think it's very trite to say we don't need a junkyard in town. Well, of course we don't need one, but you have a legitimate business from what you're telling me that's been here for many years, okay? And if they don't have any violations, and my father was president of the United New Jersey Auto Salvage Association, by the way, and I heard many cases where there were governing bodies who just said, we're not going to renew your license without cause, that were sued and lost, okay? Mostly it's because they're dirty-looking businesses, or, they're looked at often as second-class businesses because people don't like to see them, like Mr. Look states. I think to say we don't need a junkyard here is so general that I would not like to see the rest of your council make decisions without saying, I don't think we should have this for X, Y, and Z concrete reasons. And I do take it personally because my family was in the business. People in this business, they work hard. They're hardworking people. They're smart businessmen, just like many other businessmen. They send their kids to college, as my parents did to me, so I could come up here and have this type of communication with you. So I just hope that you're fair, because I know how this works. And when I think of the situation as posed, I say to myself, it appears to me we have much worse problems that are right in view of the public, okay, speaking in terms of South Main Street and other parts of the town, that we would much more want to have be a more desirable looking situation and be a better image for the town, but they're not in as public a site or setting as South Main Street is, which my business is there. Many days I just say it looks like a trash bin. There's garbage everywhere. There are buildings that are deteriorating, and I would hope that that's your first focus. I would hope that if the Kraft family is doing what they're supposed to be doing according to your ordinances, that you do allow them to continue doing business. You don't take away their livelihood, and you don't take away the hardworking people who are laborers in the junk business, okay? They're hardworking laborers, that it's just not a fanciful, denigrating thought that we don't need a junkyard in town. Thanks.
Mr. Bullock, thank you for your comment. Councilman Lutz, did you want to wait till open time?
No, I'd like to answer it now. Mr. Bullock, I'm glad you said some stuff, because number one, your family owned a junkyard in Harmony Township, is that correct?
Their first one was in Phillipsburg, and that brings me up to a point that I missed. If you're going to redevelop there, fine. Where my father and grandfather's first business was, actually it was my grandfather taken over by my father and uncle, was where the Green Street School is. And the town decided they wanted to build a school, and by eminent domain said, you have to move, we're taking the property. I'm perfectly fine with that if you're gonna do that in that location or any location where it's, you know, that type of situation. But it was in Phillipsburg. And then when the town bought that property and built the Green Street School, they moved to Harmony. But, you know, there was encroachment there also. Now, my father and uncle sold when they decided they wanted to retire, but they often dealt with the same thing. My grandfather did, my dad and my uncle did. And, you know, they went to court, they dealt with council going back to the 40s for the same situations and got their licenses renewed, but had to fight for it. And it was basically because, and you have to remember, Phillipsburg back in the 30s, there was not the development there is now. So when my grandfather started that business, he could do that, but then as people wanted to live around it, and I completely understand that when you're going to build new homes and and the town is gonna grow, you don't wanna be building it around the salvage yard. No problem with that whatsoever. What I'm talking about is that you're fair to them, that you're fair. But it was in Phillipsburg.
Right. Now, the other question that I have, I know you don't live down on South Main Street or Mercer Street or in that area. You should come down on a Sunday morning when the equipment is running, and it's supposed to be nice and quiet on a Sunday morning.
By ordinance, is it supposed to be nice and quiet?
No.
Okay. I understand completely what you're saying. I know that it has to be an inconvenience, but I can't give you a better answer than, that's why I said what I said. You have ordinances, if they're following the ordinances, and I know that that makes heads but.
Yeah, but we were told a couple of years ago that the Ray Crafts were moving. Right now, they hardly have anything in that lot. The only thing that they're storing is Atlantic States pipe for recycling.
Okay.
That's the only thing they're doing right now. But years ago, it was terrible down there. It didn't matter, 9, 10 o'clock at night, did they be clanging and clinging, doing everything.
Well, they're supposed to have hours of operations according to your ordinance, because
Right,
I know
and they
my
don't.
father and uncle had
Right,
to
and they
abide
didn't
by
go
those
by it.
hours.
Right, they didn't go by it, because many of times people came to my house and complained about it.
I hear the same thing about McQueen from people who live on Seagrave Street.
Right, right.
Mhm.
But now, like I said, it's done, but a couple of years ago, we were told, and Rich says, well, the attorney says, well, they